Doing good. So nice to see you. Thank you for trusting me to be up here. I don't know what's wrong with you guys, but I'm really happy to share this content with you. As Jonathan mentioned, we did have a lecture contest. It was an 8-week seminar. It was an 8-week seminar, and we basically learned an overview of divine principle so that we could give a 1-day or 2-day workshop to folks. So I decided to talk about something we all know so well, true love, the intro basically to DP. So that's what I'll be sharing today. Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Brianna Chaves. Welcome to the True Love Divine Principle Seminar. I am very excited to share this content with you. I actually met this movement and divine principle many years ago when I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school. My sister is actually my spiritual mother, and it's been several years since then, and I really love this content because I know it changed my life. I think I would be a very different person if I never met divine principle, if I never met true parents, and if I never really knew who heavenly parent was, because maybe I had some idea, but being with you all and being part of this movement has really made that, or I'm on the path of substantiating it. Still need a lot of practice, but I think I'm so grateful, and I definitely feel much closer. So this is, for people who don't really know much about divine principle, so just bear with me. But so you may be wondering, what is divine principle? Divine principle is a revelation given that helps us understand the fundamental principles of the universe, the world we live in. It helps us understand where we come from, why we live in the world that we do, where are we going, and who is God. At the center of divine principle is this concept of true love. Sorry, my transitions aren't working because the way this is set up, so I have to kind of rethink how I'm saying this. So at the center of divine principle is this concept of true love. And I think that when we really understand what true love is, we can not only understand who God is, but who we can become, right? And I think understanding true love will help us change this world. So, this is one of the ones that's a little bit off because the transitions aren't there, but what does the heart stand for? Love, yes, thank you, yeah. So why do we like to talk about love? Yeah, we want to be happy, right? So I think you can all agree with me, but isn't love the greatest source of our happiness? Yes? Okay. So let me ask you a question. Take a moment and think, when were you the most happy? Did you think about it? Are you visualizing it? Can someone shout an answer for me? It can just be a sentence or a phrase or when you were the most happy. Next to his wife in the back? Meeting with your family. Anybody else? When you're accepted, awesome. Yeah, so I think we really feel true happiness when we feel loved by someone or when we're loving somebody else, right? That's usually, love is all about a relationship. So, as we will learn, true love is not an easy thing. Common sense kind of tends to tell us that if we fulfill our desires, we'll be happy, right? We tend to just try to do things to get happiness. But unfortunately, we find that we're still unhappy. It's usually a very temporary thing. So what's amazing about divine principle is that it teaches us that actually true happiness is what? Loving yourself. Yeah, we do have to love ourselves first so that we can live for the sake of others, so that we can love others. So this is a quote from Luke 17:33. You guys probably remember it, but it says something like, if you try to gain your life, you'll lose it. But if you're willing to give up your life, you will gain it. So this is core in our teaching, right? We know where this comes from. So it comes from the fall, which, we'll talk about later. But truly, we find the most happiness when we're able to think about the happiness of others. So I'm going to tell you a little story. It's a Chinese fable. But what I'm getting at here is this main point. And this is, I believe, this is who our heavenly parent is. This is who true parents are, right? Is absolutely selfless, right? So the story goes, there was a man who was shown a vision in spirit world. He saw the same exact situation in both heaven and hell. So the situation was basically a big table. There was a huge feast for everyone to eat. There was a lot of people sitting around the table, and they had chopsticks to eat with. So when this man went to these two places with the exact same thing going on, I want you to think about the heart that was there in each place. Externally, it looked the same, but internally, it felt very different. And this, I think, perfectly illustrates what we're talking about. So in the first scene, it was in hell. So there was all these people sitting around the table, and everybody was starving, and everybody was miserable, and everyone was just concerned with how to feed themselves. So one thing that I left out was these chopsticks happen to be very long. So no matter what you do, it's impossible to try to eat the food. You can't. So they were struggling, miserable, and completely thinking about their own situation. How am I going to feed myself, right? Then the man was taken to another scene in heaven. The atmosphere was totally different. Of course, externally, it was totally different too, because everyone felt good. They were all full, right? But what was different was that instead of thinking about how to feed myself, they thought, oh, I can feed my brother. I can feed my sister. Oh, what's your favorite item here? Let me get it for you. So it was a place of love. It was a place of happiness. And what I really want to share about this point, this particular scene, is this environment, I think, perfectly illustrates how we can apply loving each other every day. So when we think about this situation, not only did the people feel better because they were full and they were fed, but there was so much more love in this situation. It had the capacity to blow up because they were so, oh yeah, I'm so full, but they were also thinking, wow, my sister really knows me. She gave me my favorite. I'm going to give her her favorite, right? And everybody loved each other and respected each other more. So it's a very different feeling. And yeah, so just another side note on this one. I think this is exactly, in my experience, and I'm still learning this stuff, okay? So by no means am I trying to say like I know anything. But to me, Heavenly Parent is always allowing for opportunities like this in our daily life. All the time. There's always something where there's an opportunity to create love. But sometimes we don't see it because we're thinking about our situation a little too much, or maybe we're hurting a little too much. But this is the beauty of even why our world is, the earth, I think, was made with a limited amount of resources, but that was for a reason. Because how we use these resources as true people of true love is how we can create something more, right? So any situation I think we can think about, how would true parents view this situation? How would they add their love to this situation? Even when it seems like there's no hope, right? Even when we think about the situation in Japan right now, our amazing Japanese brothers and sisters that have done incredible things. I am a product of the Japanese movement. I would not be here without Mr. Fujida's foundation. But, even though it looks so hopeless and so dark and dim, we can add our love. We can turn it around. And I'm sure that's what Heavenly Parent and true parents are asking us to do in these situations and in situations in our daily life. Not only was this talked about in fables and folk tales and whatnot, but this is also very true when we look at it in the scientific world. So this is Dr. Robert Waldinger. He's a professor at Harvard of psychiatry. And in this talk, he's talking about a study that lasted for more than 75 years on happiness. And what the study revealed was basically our happiness is dependent on the degree of our good relationships. This is another doctor, Michael Norton. He was giving a TED Talk also on happiness. He's talking about a study where they were trying to find out, can money buy happiness? And so they had a group of people where they gave them money to spend on themselves, whatever they wanted. And then they had another group of people who they gave money to spend specifically on others. So, at the end of the study, who do you think was more happy? Yeah, the group that was spending money for others. Yeah. I'd like to throw in another thing in here too. So I think this kind of helps us really look at how deep this teaching is that we have. But let's remember back when we were kids, right? And there's probably some toy or something that we really wanted, that we were so excited. We were asking Santa Claus for it, hoping or maybe saving my money for it, right? Do you remember? Yeah, okay. So if you think about that and you buy it yourself, right? Okay, it's good. But if you think and you find somebody like Mrs. Dew buys it for you, isn't it so much more special? It's like, not only is it amazing that you got it, but Mrs. Dew knows you that well. God was using Mrs. Dew to give this to you. It's kind of incredible, right? And of course, drum roll please. Thank you. So we can't talk about true love without talking about our founders, Reverend Sum Young Moon and Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, right? If anybody knows about this, it's them, right? They define true love as living for the sake of others. We see it in the way they live their life, the way father lived his life, and the way mother continues to live her life, right? And they talk about happiness like this. Find somebody to whom you want to give, and no matter how much you give that person, you always want to give them more. Do you have somebody in your life like that? Yeah, I do, but sometimes my expectations get in the way. Sometimes my fallen nature creeps out, and then I start wanting to receive love back. And that's, I'm learning. But that's not included in this definition, right? But yeah, let's think about this, because this is what we're talking about, the ideal of creation, right? What God intended for us before the fall. So if we think about it, we have a person who's absolutely devoted and dedicated to the love and happiness of their partner, right? And vice versa. And those as parents have that same love and dedication, absolutely thinking of the happiness and the true love for the sake of their children, and that family for the sake of their community, and so on. That's exactly what we're talking about, the ideal of creation, right? So you know that, unfortunately, our world is a little bit different, right? So we don't live in a world like that, but we have the answer, and we have hope, and we have the tools to do it because of the victorious foundation of our true parents. So basically this was a quick talk. This is kind of the end. I'm gonna add a few more things in here. But this is the promise that is now available to us. But it's a fight. We have to work for it. We have to struggle. Why? Because we're still part of a fallen world and a fallen lineage. So I wanted to, I was really thinking like, oh, okay, what is it that Heavenly Parent wants to share with you all? I was like, I don't know, just I'll prepare my heart and just hope that that something comes out, right? This morning, I was listening to Hyojinim, and Hyojinim is very close in my heart. He always talks about going back to the basics, right? So this is basics, guys. And I was listening to Hyojinim, and I had this question in my mind, like, oh, yeah, what do you want to tell our community? Like, what is it that Heavenly Parent, true parents want to share? And so I was listening, and I just felt so much gratitude. I really felt like I don't know, maybe we don't say it enough, but Heavenly Parent and true parents are so grateful for each and every one of you. You're like a precious treasure to each one of them. And they know that we're walking this path, and because we're part of this movement, yeah, we receive more persecution. Yeah, we're in the front line a lot of times, and it's not easy, but they're so grateful for your heart and your dedication, and they're asking us, please become people of true love. You can do it. It starts with every day within ourselves. How much can we love others? How much can we push away our ego, right? So, yeah, basically that's all I have for today. But I'm very grateful and honored to be with you guys, and let's do this together. Let's do it for true parents. Let's fight together. Let's really become people who can be true love, not just talk about it. Okay? So thank you so much.